Amazon Prime's Rings of Power is also one of the most highly awaited fantasy dramas that made their debut this year, with the Lord of the Rings fans following it closely in their heels. And now that Season 1 has wrapped, the stage is now set for what's to come. For today's episode, we'll be talking about how Rings of Power Season 1 was nothing more than groundwork, and that fun comes next. All this and more in today's video. With Rings of Power Season 1 finally done, the groundwork is laid and all that's left is fun. It's evident that the first season of the show did not exactly meet the standard viewers had hoped for, despite some fairly dubious attempts to restrict audience feedback soon after the show's premiere. This doesn't necessarily imply that the series has already failed though. The story has lots more to be told, and ROP might return with something truly amazing thanks to its 5-season plan. Ron Ames and Chris Newman, the show's producers and writers, initially proposed the concept as a 50-hour epic. This ultimately evolved into the television series that will be portrayed throughout 5 seasons. Given that the proposed narrative for the program has only been partially completed thus far, Rings of Power still has a long way to go. At most, it had an introductory first season. Through its episodes, the show introduces new characters to the audience and brings back characters that are already well known. The season has, in a sense, also served as a teaser, concealing the identities of some of its most well-known characters and hinting at potential future plot developments. For instance, the Balrog's ambiguous unveiling and the fleeting views of Númenor's end. Simply said, now that the main setup has been completed, the show can give far more substance and creativity than it did during the first season. Now, the opportunity to use the books more extensively is another advantage of the upcoming seasons of the show. Even while Rings of Power has a substantial portion of its own original tale, it is nonetheless heavily influenced by Tolkien's world and literary creations. Assuming that a sizable portion of the show's viewers will also be LotR devotees, the conclusion of the narrative won't be a surprise. Being able to follow Tolkien's example, however, really gives the series a significant advantage. Instead of needing to extensively explain the significance behind most of the plot's origin, the show may focus on the narrative specifics for a significantly longer period. The audience will probably be able to view more intriguing material about the characters' pasts and character development in the show's upcoming seasons, particularly for characters like Galadriel and Sauron, whose points of view on the events have never been fully explored in the literature. One may also concentrate on Middle Geographical Earth's location. Later seasons will probably delve more into the well-known fictional setting. Plus, fans will be able to see these destinations represented in a brand new way. Mordor's final stage of development, possibly some allusions to the Shire's discovery after moving the series filming to Bray Studios in the UK. Amazon is probably going to go all out on the show's scenery and special effects. Nevertheless, throughout the first season, some viewers had concerns about the visual effects. For example, fans publicly discussed on Reddit why the Balrog from Fellowship of the Ring in 2001 had superior visuals than its much more current yet visually deficient cousin from Season 1. However, the series still has time to address some of its weak points, like VFX. Giving a show the time it needs to find its voice is only fair. Rings of Power still has a long way to go before it achieves Peter Jackson's caliber of excellence based just on Season 1, but in all likelihood, it has already succeeded in starting, which is one of the hardest things to do. The series can now begin to develop the episodes that viewers genuinely want to see now that its basis has been set. As the story progresses, there will be plenty to look forward to, including epic battles, genuine love, developed friendships, and lots of adventure. Everything that readers adored about Tolkien's first Lord of the Rings. Moving forward, since pretty much everyone has finished watching the series, let's take a look back at one pause-worthy moment in Rings of Power that fans aren't still over. The Rings of Power demonstrated its dedication to the Lord of the Rings universe during its first season by featuring exquisite detail and some startling graphics in each of its episodes. A lot of people have given the show's recreation of Middle-earth high praise, presenting areas of the world that viewers have never had the chance to view in films, such as Númenor, Khazad-dûm, and the creation of Mordor. Fans of the program have focused their attention on one scene in particular, which has been dubbed one of the most pause-worthy moments of Season 1, and everything has to do with Galadriel and Sauron's revelation. The incident in question may be seen around halfway through the final episode of the season. Aloyd, the 3 Rings of Power, which are intended for the elf race, are finally shown in the episode starting to be manufactured. Galadriel, however, begins to have doubts about Halbrand's true motives as he helps Celebrimbor, Elrond, Galadriel, and the rest of their elfkin create these rings. Galadriel discovers Halbrand's true identity only after questioning him directly. Sauron himself is the Dark Lord she has been looking for. Sauron tries to get inside her head, using a vision of her deceased brother Finrod to trick her, but Galadriel is not duped. The camera pans to their reflection in the water, showing them not as they are, but as Sauron imagines them both, revealing his true form. He continues to convince her with his words, bending the truth to his side, as the two float in an illusion on the raft where they met. The brief yet effective shot accomplishes its purpose completely and is visually creative, retroactive, and unforgettable. Now, why is this scene so important for the whole series? How this image catches the audience's imagination is what has motivated so many fans of the show. Not only did this disclose Halbrand's actual character, but it also graphically echoed the much anticipated twist that had fans guessing throughout the whole season. Furthermore, the scene itself has a deeper significance to the narrative, as described from the moment we first met Galadriel in episode 1. She has struggled with the darkness within her for a very long time, and there are certain similarities between Galadriel and Sauron. After watching the scenario numerous times again, one astute admirer notes that they are both the same as they are opposite. As Galadriel confesses on numerous occasions, she may have touched the darkness, but by assisting her, Sauron has also indirectly touched the light. They are opposite reflections of one another, wonderfully portrayed in this single shot as good and evil. Because of this scene, the relationship between Galadriel and Sauron is further highlighted in the series. Fans unexpectedly discovered the inventive symbolism as a reference to the couple's relationship in addition to the scene's inspirational visuals. The two characters' story has practically come full circle, because the stranger she did not trust at first developed into a close ally throughout the season. Galadriel once more lost hope in him after he fully disclosed himself and changed into an adversary she did not recognize. Even though their relationship is convoluted, Galadriel and Sauron are nonetheless closely related. As a result, viewers have expressed a desire to see the two characters' affectionate relationship develop more. Even though it may surprise you, they do ship the connection. They're the power couple we didn't know we needed. As one fan put it, it's obvious that for the fans of the show, the scene has encouraged more than simply a deeper ideology of both characters. Now, although Rings of Power's creators have established that they want to set the series apart from Peter Jackson's movies, we can't help but notice several movie references made in the series. One of the most notable of these is the eruption of Mount Doom. The most notable place in Lord of the Rings is Mount Doom, which serves as both Frodo and Sam's last destination and the setting for the franchise's grand finale. The program did, however, have a fascinating origin story, describing not only the complex history of Mordor's creation, but also how Sauron's long-term ambitions for the creation of the One Ring were far more complex than anybody could have ever imagined. Then there's also the words of Gandalf. The first season's main mystery was who the stranger might be. His exact identity is still a little unclear even in the series' concluding episode. However, one line he spoke to his new Harfoot companion Nori, "Follow your nose," was instantly recognizable to any Lord of the Rings fan as a straight quote from Gandalf. It's unknown if this implies that the stranger is the Great Wizard, or if it's simply a hint of his ancestry, but there's no doubt that this was meant as a reference. Now, there are many more instances that we'd like to point out, but unfortunately, we're out of time. So that'll be all for today's video about Rings of Power. Maybe you noticed some of Peter Jackson's movie references in the series. Why don't you let us know what these are in the comment section below? Before you go, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel with the notification bell on for more videos like these. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.